Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Greater Atlanta Area Virtual College Fair. Tonight, we're about to hear an info session from Georgia Institute of Technology. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a couple of announcements before we get started. I want to draw your attention to the question and answer button on your screen, the Q&A button you can see. This is where you can type your questions to address our presenters at any time. Your camera and your microphone are turned off, so the panelists aren't able to see or hear you. So this Q&A button is really the only way you have to interact with the presenters. Also, remind you that this is just one of many different sessions that are happening as part of this College Fair series, so be sure to sign up for some additional sessions. Also, the presentation's being recorded, and it'll be available in about a week on the same website where you registered. As are all of the other sessions that are being presented as part of the College Fair. So come back, check it out, or check out other colleges that you've had to miss. So without any further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our friends from Georgia Tech. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. Let's get started. My name is Nada Azam. I am one of the admission counselors at Georgia Tech. And with me are my colleagues and friends, Sarah, Mariana, and Katie and Shelby, who are going to be helping moderate the questions. So if you have any questions like Josh said, please, you can do those in the question name. So today what I'm going to do is kind of talk about who we are as an institution, dive a little bit into the application process, and then open up the floor for questions so I can answer those live. So let's get started. So who we are, where we were founded, we are located in Atlanta, Georgia. We were founded in around 1885. During that time, Atlanta was burnt to the ground. So there was really due to the Civil War. So there's a lot of reconstruction and rebuilding, and that's kind of where the idea of progress and service, which is one of our mottos and what our students embody and live by at Georgia Tech, and we kind of follow that. And that's something that I love about Georgia Tech, is this combination of progress and service, and it's not just progress for progress sake or service for service sake, but that combination to help better the world through technology and through STEM. The second motto we have that I love very much is creating the next, with that space after it. And that really does embody who we are and what we try to do, create that energy, give that space, those resources for you to really create the next, and whatever that next may be. Next slide, please, Shelby. So much next. With progress and service, I want to take just a couple of seconds to, just address, hopefully everyone's doing well through this crazy time with COVID. I know it has affected all of us in many different ways, and I'll talk more about that in the application process. But as for now, I just want to tell you what our students are doing in that response. We learn a lot in school about our history and about the future of the world, but to be able to do something in our community and respond to something that's so, now is something that I love about our students. Our students are doing things across the board, whether it's creating hand sanitizer. They've donated 7,000 gallons of hand sanitizer, and they called it gold based on our colors, which I think is really cool. Or even creating different masks, different technologies to track COVID-19, but even doing research in that area. So across majors, from computer science to engineering, we have students in response to that, and they're taking classes. We have added a couple of classes this fall that are about COVID-19. So kind of being a part of that community and being that response, and hopefully they can create the next solution, or even what to do, hopefully when there's not a next pandemic, but maybe there will be. Next slide, please. So Georgia Tech, we are around 16,000 undergrad students. That's considered a medium-sized school. When you're looking at university, it's something to keep in mind and kind of really think about the university size. I went to a very small high school. I graduated with 25 students my senior year. So when I was applying to colleges, I didn't want that really big environment to go to college, but I also didn't want a really small school. Medium-sized schools felt the best for me. So when you're looking at universities, kind of think about that and take that into consideration. Maybe apply to a couple that are different size. And that, of course, affects how many students are in your classroom. On average, our classes are around 20 to 30 students. 85% of your classes will have less than 50 students in them, and that also affects how you learn and that environment and that energy in the class, and how what benefits you for you to learn better. We have 36 majors in 6 different colleges, and let's talk about that 97% retention rate. We're very proud of that. On average, is around 70%. For us to be 97, that our students are coming back their second year, utilizing all the resources we have and the support we give is something we're very, very proud of. Next slide, please, Shelby. So as much as we love you to be inside the classroom, we do want you to be outside the classroom as well. And that's something that we focus a lot on at Georgia Tech, whether it's our great research opportunities from your first year and onwards, whether it's being paid to do research or participate or even for credit, whether it's research abroad or on campus is something that we really push for and support our students to do if that's an interest of them. We also do have study abroad program, and most schools do have study abroad. The thing that I love about Georgia Tech study abroad, it is catered to specific majors. So if you're in engineering, computer science, or a business major, there are catered study abroad programs for you and for your major. And of course, we want you to get that jobs, those internships, and those experiences while being at Tech and also when you graduate. Our Career and Development Center is there to help you and really push you and support you to apply to those. We do have a lot of different co-op programs and internships that you can do in Georgia, in Atlanta, in the United States, but also abroad, and kind of expand your knowledge of your major. Next, please. And of course, where the university is located. So again, when you're looking at schools, think about the city, think about the state they're in. Atlanta is a great city, not to be biased because we all live there, but it really is. It's a great diverse city. It's also a growing city, and it's the great part is there's a lot of different companies that are not just in Georgia, but around our campus, like Coca-Cola, Delta, Home Depot, to name a few. These are things that are really beneficial when you're in university to be able to be a part of those and maybe intern or maybe experience with those. It's also a very fun city. A lot of different things to do if you're like outdoor activities or theater or music. Great sports. Our soccer team, Atlanta United, is the best soccer team in America. We won't talk about soccer teams of the world because I don't want to, argue with you all. But it's a great place to kind of be involved in the community outside our campus. Our campus is located in Midtown Atlanta, and it's a great experience to have a campus feel. So it's a traditional American college campus, but it's also in Midtown, and you can see that picture where the picture cuts off. That's where our campus is. You can see a couple of buildings there of our campus, and it's a great mixture of being able to just walk a little bit to the right and be in a city, but also walk a little bit to the left and be on our campus and having best of both worlds. Next, please, Shelby. So let's talk about the application process. So we follow the holistic approach, meaning everything you're sending to us, we are taking into consideration. There isn't one thing that is going to make or break your decision, the decision we're taking. So the first one is academic preparation. We're looking at all of these in context of where you go to school, where you're from, what city, what state, all of those, what country, all of these together. With academic preparation, we want to see how you challenged yourself and how well did you do in those challenges. Contribution to community, we want to see what you're doing outside the classroom. We want to see your interests. We want to see your leadership skills. We want to see your longevity. What did you do with these activities outside the classroom? Personal essay, this year we have 2 questions we want you to answer. They're revolving around what you want to do with the major you want to study at Georgia Tech and how you want to improve that the world after you graduate. So make sure you check those out and dive in more. My advice for that is really, we want to learn more about you. We want to hear your voice and spell check, because we really want to get to know you through these essays and through this application process. So make sure it sounds like you. Recommendations, you can submit up to 2 recommendations, one from your teacher and one from your college counselor. They're highly recommended, but is up to you if you want to submit them. This year, due to the pandemic, I know a lot of things are stressful and a lot of crazy things are happening, but we are SAT and ACT optional for this year. So keep an update if you are interested in the next year to see how that goes. But for this year, we are optional. You can submit them if you want. You don't have to if you don't, and if you couldn't take those. So this is just us trying to really help lessen the stress on you when it comes to things that are out of your control that you can't take the test. Interview for non-native English speakers. English proficiency is required, so if English is not your first language, you need to do whether an interview through a third party. We do not do interviews in the application. This is just for non-English native speakers. And lastly is institutional fit. So everything we talked about before is really all the things you've accomplished and that you're sending to us, but part of our review process is institutional fit, whether it's the 60% of our student body is from the state of Georgia, or whether it's different things that our institution really strive for that year as part of the whole holistic approach. Shelby, next, please. So let's talk about deadlines and plans. Make sure you are, with all the universities you're applying to, make sure you're writing those down. I use a spreadsheet to have all these so I don't get lost with deadlines, but we have 2 different deadlines this year, Early Action 1 and Early Action 2. Early Action 1 is for students who go to school in the state of Georgia. That is going to be October 15. And if you go to school outside the state of Georgia, that is going to be November 2nd. And regular decision, of course, is in January. There's no difference between our early action and regular decision. We review them the exact same way. Early action is not binding at Georgia Tech. I said the exactly same, but then there's one difference. If you're interested in our limited merit-based scholarship, you have to apply early action. That is when we're reviewing them. There isn't a separate application. It is just part of that, and that is when we are reviewing those scholarships. And we are on the Common App, and we have been live since August. Next, please. So we talked about where the school is from. We talked about, what we strive for, what we want. We talked about the size, majors, all of that. But when you're looking at university finances is something to also take a part of and, be part of that conversation before you even apply, to think about that. And there are different ways our students are financing their education, whether it's co-ops and programs, internships, whether it's participating in research, paid research, part-time jobs, and even outside scholarships. Our students are finding a lot of different outside scholarships. So take this time. I know we're mostly at home, everything's virtual, so take this time to do a lot of research for the outside scholarship. Let's look at that 74,000 average starting salary. That's something we're very proud of. It is higher the average starting salary across the state. So that's something that we are proud of, that the return on investment for our students is doing well. If you're interested to dive more into that, you can look at each starting salary for different majors or the majors you're interested in. Next, please. So as much as we, love seeing you online and talking to you and being more there, we miss you on campus. But at this time, we are not open for campus, but we do have great virtual visits that you can see in that corner. My picture is blocking it, but if you want to see that link, make sure you check that out. There's different ways to get to know more about Georgia Tech. We do have student tour guides who are doing live tours, so that is a great option. They are the real experts about Georgia Tech, so I would ask them a lot of different questions. And of course, different colleges are doing different webinars, recorded or live, about different majors. So if you're interested in and have specific questions about majors, that would be an option for you. Follow us on social media. I love Instagram, so I always push people to follow our Instagram page. But our coworker, Sammy, who leads the social media, is doing a great job with different, our students are taking over the Instagram, so that also you can see their dorms, you can see their experience. We also do live questions, and it's also very fun pictures. So I would do that. And if you have more questions that I can't answer now live, make sure you email us at admission@gautech.edu. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn over and see what questions we have and do that. Thanks, Shelby, for sharing the screen.
Great. Thank you, Netta. We do have some really good questions coming in. And we did a great job getting through that information really quickly, so we have plenty of time to spend answering some of these specific questions that students are asking. So thanks for sending in questions, and we do want to speak directly to all of you listening right now. So continue to send those questions in to us. First, we'll start with some more Georgia Tech specific questions, and then if you've asked an application specific question, we'll hold that and get to that in just a few minutes as well. So to start off, we've gotten a few different questions about things like internships and co-ops and research opportunities, these kind of experiential and applied academics that you spoke about briefly. Can you tell us about kind of the culture at Georgia Tech as it pertains to participating in internships and co-ops, and what those things might actually be, how they logistically work, and what it might mean for a student to co-op or intern?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start off by saying we do have a lot of different resources for our students to be able to learn more about these options and to learn more how to get, you know, an internship or a co-op or different research. So whether it's our career center that you can go to and there's an advisor you can talk to and say, you know, I'm in this major, I'm interested in maybe experiencing, you know, in this company or this position, or I don't really know, you know, I'm studying computer science, but I don't know which you know, career I want to go into within that computer science. So there are people that can help you and dive with you into that. There's also different resources and advising within each department of our colleges that you can also utilize. So that's kind of the first base I'd go into. Then there's, of course, online resources that we have where different companies are posting different jobs, whether it's internships and jobs especially for Georgia Tech students or just across the board. And that's another way to apply and do and get those utilized. With research, we do have we have a big research center that you can also get involved with, whether it's doing research with your professor or research with different students, and then of course a lot of different maker spaces around campus to kind of dive in and get involved with that. With internships, you can do a short one, you can do a longer one. We do have some that maybe go on during breaks, winter break or spring break, or we even have some during the summer. Some students might be doing internships while studying throughout the semester. And we also do some internships abroad if they're interested in that. Co-ops is, the idea of co-ops I love very much. What's that meaning is you work at a company for 3 semesters. So what you're doing is kind of 6 semesters. You're going to study at Georgia Tech for a semester, work full-time at a company for another semester, and then so on. So it'll be study work, study work, study work. Do the time that you're working, those 3 semesters you're working, you do not pay for tuition because you're not taking classes. So that kind of also eases the payment, kind of spreads it out, and you're also getting paid to work there as well with the co-op. And when you graduate, you kind of have a 1.5 years worth of real work experience in a full-time position at a company. One of our student workers, I think, you know, I love when she talked about this. She did an internship at a startup in Atlanta and then a co-op at a big company, I think Delta, as in Atlanta as well. So when she was graduating, you know, before her last semester, she knew exactly what she wanted, what job she wanted to apply to. She knew the position. She knew she wanted a smaller company or a big company. And I thought that was amazing to be able to experience that and really have that knowledge before even applying to the job. I hope that answers a little bit of all your questions. If there's something more specific, let me know, Sarah. But that's kind of overall of internships, research, and co-ops. Oh, with research, one more thing. And of course, you can do your own research. And there's a lot of different ways to be involved in that and have students work together. I think at Georgia Tech, the feel that I have and the students talk about is that collaboration and that working together and kind of mending these amazing minds to create solutions and even cross majors, whether it's through research or different projects and different opportunities. But that is one thing that I've realized and really big at Georgia Tech.
Great. Thank you so much, Netta. We have a really great question that I think will be helpful for a lot of students that asks if you can briefly describe the culture of the Georgia Tech campus. Is Georgia Tech a lively campus community, or are students going home on the weekend? So describe kind of the culture of our campus.
Yeah.
And then if you'll take us a little bit through kind of student life and what student life is like at Georgia Tech. And then I have a follow-up question to that as well. So go ahead and talk about campus culture and student life, and then I have a little bit of a follow-up there.
Yeah, that's great. I can attempt to do this. So our campus culture and campus life, well, one thing is our campus is in Midtown Atlanta, so it is lively. The great thing about it, because it is its own campus, you know, you do have that calm and college feel. But again, if you want a little more noise, a little more action, 2 blocks, a walking distance, you are in that city life in Midtown Atlanta. There are a lot of activities that our students are doing on the weekend or throughout the week on campus, but also off campus as well. Our campus hosts a lot of different things. One of our students today told us they did this whole event where you get to go do smoothies, which I thought was really cool. There's also a I Love Lettuce club I heard the other day, where if you love lettuce, you can all join together and eat lettuce. And I guess there's many different ways to eat lettuce, so that's another fun thing to do if you like. But there's also a lot of events off campus that even Georgia Tech does support and help. So some like the World of Coca-Cola, they'll host that, and you can go with other Georgia Tech students to there, the aquarium, Six Flags, like a roller coaster ride if you're interested in that. So there's a lot of different events and kind of what you're interested in and what you want to do. As for clubs and student life, there's a lot of different organizations. We have over 500 student-run organizations. So whether it's Greek life or whether it's cultural or even things you're interested in with organizations, and that's another part to get involved and be on campus. And again, our students are very busy, are very, very involved, whether it's in the classroom, outside the classroom, but they're also very social. And I think they do a great way of kind of blending all that together. They're very focused. I see them a lot focus on their studies, focus on research or internships, and kind of want to accomplish and do what they want to do, but they also know how to have fun and take care of themselves as well. What's the follow-up question? I hope I answered that right, Sarah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing a little bit more about that. Then kind of in the same spirit, can you talk about the culture of collaboration and innovation and how that works at Georgia Tech? Is it a collaborative and innovative space? And just tell us a little bit about what students are finding in regards to collaboration and innovation.
Yes, it is all that and more. Honestly, I didn't think how much there's collaboration in a community at Georgia Tech. And when I started working there, I was very pleasantly surprised of that, because students really do collaborate and there's a lot of this community built. You would think, in college it's competitive, and I don't see that at all at Georgia Tech. Students are really working together and want to help one another because their end goal, that progress and service, again, that end goal is what they're working on and they want to strive for. So we see a lot of collaboration, and not only do we see it between our students walking around campus or what we hear, but also in events like Inventure Prize. It is like a Shark Tank event that we do on campus once a year, where students get to showcase their work. So it's a place, with the innovation kind of thing, and they kind of come together, and a lot of them do work together and want to benefit and work to help what their research is doing and what they're creating. So we see that a lot, and there's a lot of different innovation spaces for students and maker spaces that students can be involved in and can utilize to create different ways for their creation and kind of collaborate together on that. The great thing about our majors, they're all bachelors of science. So at some point, you're all taking kind of the same classes. But the great thing about that, because of that, focus of technology, you can be a biomedical engineering student and work with a business major on campus. And together you're both having that base in STEM and technology, but that collaboration to make your work better, I think is amazing. And I see that through stories we read on our newsletter, but also through our student workers and our students every day of how they really do collaborate and work together. And there's a lot of innovation. And you saw, we see that even with COVID-19 in the pandemic, and things shifted and classes are different, but we still saw students and our alumni and current students, professors and faculty and staff kind of working together in different ways to be innovative, creating different types of masks, creating different ways of, to less touching, even creating different ways to get tested on campus. So it's a mixture of that. I can go on and on about that. But I hope
Great,
that
thank you.
you believe me.
That is very helpful. Can you tell us a little bit about housing at Georgia Tech? Is housing required? Does housing happen all 4 years? And then uniquely this year, what does housing look like in the time of a pandemic right now?
Yeah, of course. So we do have housing, of course, and you are not required to live on campus. Most of our first year students do choose to live on campus, probably their first and second year. If you want an option to live all your time at Georgia Tech, you can do that. You just need to follow those deadlines and work with our housing department. And there's different types of housing, of course. We have the traditional dorms, and we do have kind of more of that apartment style. We do have also living learning communities, kind of our like honors program that are themed houses, and kind of if you're interested. So I would look at those if you're interested in that. This year it does look a little different with just the occupancy. We've scattered more. We've also have a place if students need to be quarantined or need that is also an option for them as well. I think we're full this year with housing. Even with the pandemic, our housing department has been working with our students to get that, but we do have that option. And the great thing on our website, on our virtual visits, there is a tour of our different dorms. We do have students who walk around and show you their dorms, so that also gives you an example of that. We do have a lot of students who commute, and of course, because we are in Midtown, there's a lot of different housing options that are around our campus that are off-campus housing, and if students choose to do that as well. One of our coworkers lives, closer to campus, to I think, our department than some of the dorms. If you're a biology major, some of the off-campus houses are closer than the dorms, but there are that options. And of course, there's dining halls close to the dorms, and safety with our police everywhere. So it's really up to you, and we do have those options for you.
Great, thank you. We have a couple of questions about interactions with professors. Can you talk to us about how being at that mid-sized public institution, about 16,000 undergraduate students, really looks in a day-to-day student's life and in that classroom experience? Are they really getting to know their professors or interacting with their professors on campus?
Yes, that's a great question. So of course, many schools or many professors will have office hours, and that's something that our professors do have. So there you can always ask them questions and always kind of attend their office hours. The other thing is, what's great about our professors as well is that they are in the field that you are studying or you're interested in. They're doing that research. They have been in your shoes, and they probably know so much about the field that you want to go into. So they're there to help you and assist you. We do, whether it's through assisting them with their research or working with you on your research, and have that opportunity to do that. Even if you're not a part of their class or in that, field, if you're interested in the research they have done or they've worked on, there's always options for you to reach out and talk to them. And I think that is something that's really important when you're looking at schools and how big an institution is, to see that with a mid-sized university, it is, I think, I hate to say the word easier, but there is that opportunity for you to really get to know your professors and know their work and what they've done, and what they advise for, the future of that field. But for sure, there's options for you to talk. We do have TAs as well. They do not teach, only professors will teach a class, but there are also teacher assistants that can help you as well, and be that support for you. But our professors are there to assist you, to help you, and they want to push you, and they want to see you succeed, because they're in that field and they love that field. That's why they're teaching in that field. So they want to see you input and make that field better.
Great, thank you so much. I know there are a lot of questions, again, that we're not going to be able to get to today, but I do want to take some time to shift over, because we're getting lots and lots of admission related questions.
Okay.
Kind of shift our focus to admission questions. One question that we're getting a lot, and in a lot of different ways, a lot of different versions of this question, unsurprisingly, is what does test optional mean? Does it really mean optional? If I don't submit scores, but somebody else does, am I at a disadvantage? Am I disadvantaged if I submit scores and they're not as strong as you think they should be? Just tell us really what test optional actually means this year.
Well, test optional really does mean test optional. I hope that helped. Done, I'm done. No, to be honest, for the past couple of years with testing, we've paid less and less attention. We've given it less and less value that maybe in the past years institutions have. So that's kind of how we've been doing it for a couple of years. So now when it's optional, it really is optional. We are here to support you. We are here to help you. We are not here to trick you. If you do not submit that, then you do not submit that. And, you know, it is not part of our holistic approach. If you do submit that, we take that into consideration. It's not going to make or break our decision. It's just part of the, you know, what, like I said, with the holistic approach, we're looking at everything. We're trying to look at you as a whole. You are not just a test score. You are not just grades. You are not just your activities. You are not just your essays. You are in the application process, all of these things. So we really are, it is very much so optional. It is not going to make or break. And even if you do send it and you don't think you did as great or as well, in additional information, you can tell us that if that helps you, and then we will also take that into consideration. But if a student, you know, sends a test score and another student does, it does not make or break any of them. No one is at an advantage and no one is at a disadvantage. So again, test optional really does mean test optional.
Great, thank you so much. It really does mean test optional, y'all. I promise, in case you need to hear it from someone else too. Entirely up to you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Netta, let's talk a little bit about majors. We're getting a lot of questions about how majors impact the application review, or about whether or not we're admitting by major, or if there are more competitive majors than others. Can you talk to us a little bit about how majors work as part of the application process?
Yes, of course. So to start off, when you apply to Georgia Tech and get accepted, you are accepted to Georgia Tech. So there isn't these, you know, major that you have to reapply to or be a part of. So that's kind of the first step. In the application process, again, yes, we take major into consideration based on that general essay question, that question we're going to ask you. There's two of those. One of them is going to be why you're choosing that major. We want to see your interest. We want to see why you're interested in that. We are a very highly focused university, so we also want to see that you are highly focused in a sense of what you want and kind of know what you want to do when you come to Georgia Tech. That does not mean you are binded forever by this major. You do have option to confirm the major after your acceptance. There are options for you to explore other and maybe change within that. We do not have quotas that we're looking at and seeing, oh, we need 3 this type of major and 4 this. We are not. But again, with institutional fit, we do want a diverse, in many different meanings of diversity within our incoming class. So we do not want a class that is 60% one major. That is for sure. We don't want that, because again, that goes back to our collaborative and innovative feel and, you know, the energy on our campus. So if we have all of our students coming in with one major, that's not going to work. So we do look for that. We do take that into consideration when we're shaping our class, whether it's diversity on all fronts, but major selection is one of those that diversity. There isn't one that is more competitive than the other, because we want it to be true to you. When we're looking at you and you're saying you're interested in this major because you want to do this, we're also looking at your classes and seeing, did you take those classes to maybe start exploring that? Of course, in context, and seeing if you can. I don't know if aerospace engineering is a class that I don't want to say any school offers, but maybe might not offer in your high school. So we won't, you know, take that into consideration, but kind of understanding that feel and seeing, did you take any activities? Did you do anything to kind of pursue this interest of yours? And that is how we're looking at it in the application process. And again, just like everything else, it is not going to make or break our decision, but it's something we're taking into consideration and to see.
Great, thank you. Tell us a little bit about AP, IB, dual enrollment. We're getting lots of questions about whether we look at those in the application process and if we are able to award credit for those kinds of courses.
Yes, of course. So back to the academic preparation, again, when we first look at, the academics. We're kind of seeing what curriculum you're in, and in that context. So if your school offers IB and you're on the IB diploma, we of course going to accept that and take that, or AP, or IGCSE, or the national curriculum, any of those that you are taking, we are recognizing and looking at that, and kind of that is how we are reviewing that process. The second thing, I know some students might take dual enrollment with AP, or maybe dual enrollment and IB and mix those. We're also taking that part of this. Did you challenge yourself? Did you really take those higher level classes, and how well did you do in those? You can get credit. There are different ways to get credit for those APs, IBs, and all those dual enrollment, and we have that on our website. If you look it up, credits, under the registrar website, you can see that you can get credits for those as well. The great thing about that, we tell you exactly what classes and what credits you will take and what they will fulfill, and they follow that very well. So you can know if you're getting a 6 or a 7 on a certain IB class, what class that would fulfill, so you can plan accordingly to that. But yes, we do give credit to those.
Great. We're also getting a few very specific questions about activities that students are submitting on their application. And so I'm going to generalize and not specifically speak to each of these questions, but ask you to talk a little bit about activities and engagement with community and how we value that. And talk a little bit about a student who's coming from a school where they might not have had as many clubs to participate in, or students whose clubs were interrupted by COVID-19 over the last 6 to 10 months. So if you'll just walk us through kind of really how we are looking at activities on the application.
Yeah, again, I'm sorry I keep using the word context, but please, when you're applying to Georgia Tech, put that in your mind, context. We are looking at context in that. We understand, and we do a lot of different research of your school and what your school is about and what it has to offer. And if we see and we know, and sometimes we might reach out to the counselor, or reach out to you for more information on that, to see what was available, what opportunities were available for you, and how you utilize that. The way we're looking at activities, we just want to see your involvement and your interest. We know that most students all students aren't represented with just the classes they took and the grades they have. We want to see the time, how you're spending your time. And that can be not just clubs and organizations. You can be on the basketball team. You can also be on the Key Club or MUN. You can be a part of all those, but we also have students who work, who have part-time jobs, who have a couple of siblings and they need help at home. And that is part of your community engagement. That is part of the things that you are doing in your community. And those are things we want to know more about. It gives us more, a whole picture of who you are and what you are doing. And as for COVID, yes, we are very aware. It honestly changed, our team from doing different events, from working from home. So we totally understand that those have shifted. I would advise you to write about that. There is a section on the Common App with COVID-19 to tell us, what were your plans? Even on the Common App section, things that you were planning to do. We know we have a lot of students who do different activities during the summer, or have internships, or have jobs, or have different things they were going to do in the summer, and that couldn't happen. So that's another option for you to tell us about that and say, this was my plan, but this happened. And we believe you and we understand that situation. So when you're thinking about that, the best way, one of our colleagues always says this, is that when you're leaving home to go to college, or when you're leaving your community, who's going to kind of replace you in those positions? So if you are captain of the baseball team, or you are doing a part-time job, or you are helping your parents or your family with something, who's going to replace you, and what are they going to do? What are the tasks you do? And that's something that you can kind of make a list of and explain that to us, and that way we can understand your place in your community.
Thank you so much. Can you tell us a little bit about how we look at in-state applicants and how we look at out-of-state applicants? Essentially, we're getting lots of questions about how that process may or may not be different, and then kind of how those pools have different acceptance rates because we are a public institution.
Yeah, that's a great question. The way we review the holistic approach, honestly, we're doing it the same way, whether you are from Georgia, whether you are from Texas, and where you are from France. We are following the same criteria. We're looking at academics, outside, contribution to community, the essays. We are all reviewing them the exact same way. Of course, volume, of course, changes and number changes because we are a public institution. But again, everything is in context. We are, we have different teams within our team that know and have different expertise. So those who are, part of the international team will dive in more and have that expertise reading international students. And we have people on our team who have more knowledge about different education systems within the US, within schools in Texas versus schools in New York. So that's also in context. So we are reading students within context of their school, of their city, of their state, and of their country. It's lots of layering, lots of that goes into that. And I think the difference is, of course, it goes down to the volume of that and that acceptance rate. Just because we are a public institution, we serve our neighbors first. Neighbors and Georgia students. So that is the only difference. We're looking at that. And this year, to help that process and help us understand and shape our pool and shape our class better, we did split that early action deadline. We realized that way it gives us more of an understanding of how our pool is going to be, how we're going to shape that. So that is one of the ways we are working on that and kind of figuring out that in-state, out-of-state.
Great.
Do you have anything to add to that?
No, that is really, really great. Thank you for sharing that. Will you also speak one more time to kind of why a student might choose to apply early action versus regular decision?
Yeah. The first advice, and this is my advice for you, is if early action deadline is tomorrow, which it is not, but let's say it is, do not apply early action. Make sure you have that time to take your time to apply, don't do it a day before or even a week before. Try to take your time to do that. So that's kind of my first advice. But the difference, honestly, between early action and regular decision deadline is if you're interested in those limited merit-based scholarships. We are reviewing them during early action. So if you're interested in those, you have to apply early action. Other than that, our early action is not binding. We are looking at them the same way. We did split our early action for in-state and out-of-state, so that also affects that. But other than that, it's really up to you and what makes it better for your timeline and for you. But just limited merit-based scholarship is in early action, and that's when we're reviewing it compared to regular decision.
Great. Thank you so much, Netta. I know we are running right up against the end of our time together today, and there are still lots and lots of questions that we didn't get to. So again, I want to just encourage everyone to use this admission@gautech.edu to reach out and ask us any questions that we weren't able to get to today. And check out our website. We've got lots of great resources for you, lots of other really good ways to engage and visit virtually with us. And before we close out, I'm going to ask Netta one final question. That's my favorite question, and a couple of students answered this, so I've been holding it for the end. And that is, what is your favorite Georgia Tech tradition?
I get this question all the time, and I always have a different answer. I honestly love Georgia Tech traditions. There are a lot of crazy ones that I really, really like. I think my favorite one, which I think is kind of fun, is our Rambling Rec, which is one of our icons at Georgia Tech. First-year students cannot touch it because when our homecoming game, we will lose, as it's bad luck, but then it's great because the second year when they come, they usually all of them want to run and touch our Rambling Rec. So that's, and our football team does not need bad luck. So that's one that I really like. There's another one. When I was walking around campus, I saw a lot of different coins and pennies on the floor in this one area. And that's another tradition they have with we used to have a dog called Sideways. That kind of dog became Georgia Tech's dog in a way. When it passed away, it has a little monument, and then students put pennies there. There's ones where people eat a pie and run on Pi Day. They run miles, which I think is crazy. But there's a lot of different ones. I check out the website. There's ones that go back, centuries. So I would check that out. Sarah, what's your favorite if you want to end on that?
Absolutely. My very favorite tradition is George P. Burdell, and I'm not going to tell you anything about it except to say that name and let you all go look it up. So we will follow up with an email and recording for all of you. So thanks so much, and I'll turn it back over to Josh.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. That was great. And thank you to everyone for joining us today. When you close your window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd really appreciate any feedback you can provide through that. Again, this is one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for some others. And in about a week, you'll be able to find this and all of the other session recordings online, same place where you signed up. So have a good evening, everyone. It was good to see you all, and look forward to seeing you again.